Prime Minister Skerrit advocates people-centered development and self-determination for OECS countries. Dominica receives World Bank assistance to update its climate resilience program, and MP for Roseau North calls for greater accountability at solid waste. I am Idona Jean-Baptiste with the Channel 5 News. Details coming up.
I love family traditions, don't you? The fun you have when you're all together, preparing a meal that you'll all enjoy. Having the right kitchen appliances help bring it all together, and you can find them at Quartz. Appliances that give you more, fridges that keep food fresher, stoves that cook meals better. At Quartz, you get the world's best brands at the best prices. I love that, and you will too. For small and large kitchen appliances, Quartz, bringing value home.
Fresher taste, fresh new look. Also available in original, wheat, brand oat, and multigrain. Trix makes it better.
And don't waste time, eh? You know we deliver all over Dominica. The customer waiting for their product. All right?
Delivery from Muslim store. Anybody home?
Whether you rent or you have your own home, the Muslim store is the place to get what you need. We deliver.
Topping the news, Prime Minister Skerrit told a gathering in Grenada Monday night that given the limited options we have for development of the OECS, we must seek development aid from our friends who share a similar philosophical and developmental outlook to our countries.
Mr. Skerrit was delivering the first in a series of lectures commemorating the Grenada Revolution.
It is critical that we better and more strategically structure our outreach to the diaspora. This strategy pursued by the Grenadian Revolution was essential to the revolutionary government being able to beat back the efforts of the USA to derail the construction of the international airport. Today we must seize the rhetoric as to how we can mobilize our citizens to be an effective lobby in the diaspora to advance our approach to development.
During his lecture, Prime Minister Skerrit also quoted the former Prime Minister of Grenada responding to a U.S. ultimatum on relations with Cuba.
I quote, "Grenada is a sovereign and independent country, although a tiny speck on the world map, and we expect all countries to strictly respect our independence, just as we will respect theirs. No country has the right to tell us what to do or how to run our country or who to be friendly with." We certainly would not attempt to tell any other country what to do. We are not in anybody's backyard, and we are definitely not for sale. They clearly have no idea of the tremendous struggles which our people have fought. Though small and poor, we are proud and determined. We would sooner give up our lives before we compromise, sell out, or betray our sovereignty, our independence, our integrity, our manhood, and the right of our people to national self-determination and social progress.
Mr. Skerrit spoke on Grenada Revolution, foreign policy and development of small island states in the present international environment.
And just as Maurice Bishop and the People's Revolutionary Government understood that the philosophy to develop Grenadians had to be at the center of their foreign policy, we as leaders of this great Caribbean civilization must ensure that in the most sincere expression of our foreign policy, namely in our original treaty arrangements, that we keep the needs of our people at the center of the integration movement.
The March 13 lecture is organized by the Grenada Revolution Memorial Foundation.
More top stories. A team from the World Bank is on island helping Dominica update its strategic program for climate resilience. The strategic program for climate resilience deals with projects and activities Dominica has undertaken to lessen the impact of climate change. Stakeholders met on Tuesday to review that program, which covers the period 2012 to 2017.
Is to identify ongoing or planned projects that are relevant to the SPCR priorities. We recognize that there are other projects that are being implemented or planned in other agencies or other departments, hence so many stakeholders we've invited here today. And since the SPCR is a strategic program, all these different ongoing projects can actually feed into the objectives at the end of the day of building climate resilience in Dominica. And so since 2011, when the SPCR consultations were done, it's been about 4 years, so therefore a review is necessary now to determine whether these priorities have shifted, whether they've remained the same, what may be the order of the priorities.
The Ministry of Health and Environment, in collaboration with the World Bank, hosted the activity. The World Bank has a climate investment fund for climate resilience.
It has 4 windows of funding: the climate technology, the Clean Technology Fund, the pilot program on climate resilience, the forestry investment program, and the strategic renewable energy program. And the ones that we are interested is the pilot program on climate resilience. So the PPCR, it works to help developing countries integrate climate resilience, as we spoke, into their national planning. It's got about a $1.3 billion pledge, and it's supporting 18 pilot countries. Dominica is one of them, obviously.
In more news, the acting manager of Solid Waste Management Corporation told Channel 5 News on Tuesday he would not speculate on how Friday's fire at Fokote landfill got started, saying the CID was investigating and the findings would be made public.
But in terms of the origin of the fire, that is being under investigation. We're not too sure, so we don't want to say it was caused by A, B, and C. Once that information is available, we'll release that information to the general public. But we do not want to go on any speculation, and then you know what speculation is. Somebody said this, somebody said that, and then that is not what is or happened. We have the CID department, even the fire themselves, doing a little investigation to find out exactly how the fire started, who actually did it. And once that's become available, we'll just make it to the public, to at least ease some of the speculations that are out there.
Mitchell says there is no way a fire could be triggered in that area of the landfill on its own. He says efforts to curtail Friday's fire proved useless because of the sheer number of tires involved.
On Friday, I got a call. I was at the head office here about almost 1 o'clock from the landfill manager, reporting that there was a fire on the landfill and that she had already notified the fire department to see how they could assist. Upon arrival on the site, I saw dark smoke, which I noticed that it was from an area where we have stockpiling tires. We brought in excavator, we brought in bulldozer to try to contain the fire along with the fire department. Our efforts were a bit futile because of the volume of tires that was in the area. So in order to manage it and to eradicate that fire, it was almost impossible. But in terms of the origin of the fire, that is being under investigation. We're not too sure, so we don't want to say it was caused by A, B, and C. Once that information is available, we'll release that information to the general public.
We asked Mitchell about speculation by some people that individuals are being allowed access to the landfill to dispose of their own waste.
No, that is not something that is, again, the landfill is an environment where if you're coming to do any activity, there are designated areas for certain activities. And that area where the fire is, there is no way in God's earth that solid waste would permit anybody to have any fire in that area. So even that we want to clearly detail that. I heard on several media that, solid waste send somebody. That is not so. I mean, the landfill manager would never permit somebody to do that activity, or I would never permit, let me just say, not say the landfill manager, but I would never permit anybody to do any such activity in that area, because knowing the nature of the material you have in that area, I mean, come on.
Friday's fire started in a section of the landfill designated for white goods, including old fridges and other appliances. During our visit to the landfill on Tuesday, we were told the fire moved from that section to another spot where piles of used tires were kept. If you look carefully, you will notice tires buried under layers of soil excavated from the mountainside.
Meantime, Parliamentary Representative for Roseau North constituency Daniel Luge is appealing for a system to be put in place to prevent a repeat of what happened at the Fokole landfill last Friday.
Smoke from Friday's fire affected residents living in nearby communities as well as tourists on a cruise ship docked at Woodbridge Bay. Luge says while he's not pointing fingers, the initial response from the authorities was too casual.
There were babies affected, there were elderly affected, and I'm thinking, was there or is there a plan in place for I call it a disaster. As far as I'm concerned, that's a major disaster which occurred over the weekend in Roseau North, and there doesn't seem to have been a plan, an effective plan to deal with minors, juveniles, and with seniors.
He says going forward there must be a coordinated effort to inform residents of such emergencies, including an evacuation plan if necessary.
I've heard from fathers of babies, and they were telling me that their babies were vomiting as a result of the heavy smoke inhalation. Then you have elderly people with respiratory problems. I've gotten several text messages, WhatsApp messages, phone calls. Mr. Luge, what are we doing, So it seems to me that the authorities don't realize, how serious it's affected people in the constituency. And I'm saying that, priority has to be given for a plan, an emergency plan to be put in place. Read this particular dump site and other areas of emergency within the constituency.
On a positive note, additional funding will put the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation in a better position to equip the island with smart bins. The Adopt a Block program that allowed corporate citizens to buy a specially designed bin at $700 was introduced to control indiscriminate dumping of garbage in the city's streets. Businesses could purchase between 4 to 6 smart bins. Over 60 of them were placed around Roseau and environs, but there is a need for more.
Those bins were sourced from Trinidad. Those bins, we have a number of requests for more of those bins from other stakeholders. People saying to us that they would look good at hospitals, health centers, by schools, for example. The corporation is working with stakeholders, the village councils, and other stakeholders, businesses, to purchase those bins which we have, because we need the funding to purchase the bins and to also place bins in strategic locations for the collection and disposal of waste.
Another measure to deal with the litter problem, which Jacob says is up for consideration, is appointing litter wardens.
For us, having litter wardens patrolling our villages, our two towns, Roseau and Portsmouth, is very critical. Not only in enforcing the laws of Dominica as punishment, punitive, but in deterring people from defacing the environment. We have been working with the Dominica Police Force, with litter wardens from the Roseau City Council, Environmental Health Department, village councils. We've had meetings with them, a number of meetings with them, to apprise them of the importance of protecting the environment. There would be need for a cadre or grouping of young people, men, women, for cleaning or protecting the environment, monitoring the environment. I guess it will have to take a political will to have a special environment police force, you can call it that.
You're watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, the Rotaract Club reaches out to vagrants. Stay with us.
When life moves fast, you need something to keep up with you. That's why you need the MyLime app. Remember the days of lining up to top up your phone? Well, not anymore. Now you can top up to start talking the night away. How about those pesky bills for postpaid? If you'd like to look at your entire bill, press download. Do you have that friend that always spams you for phone credit? Let's send them some credit. Need to post your selfies online? How about getting a data bolt on? Using the MyLime app takes less than 10 seconds. Now go forth and text, WhatsApp, and watch videos. My life, my way, MyLime.
Time has come. Time for passion, for friends. Time to share. It's KFC cricket time. Live the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015 and gear up for greatness with KFC and Pepsi. Purchase your KFC Cricket Time meal with delicious chicken pieces, sides, and a refreshing Pepsi. And accumulate coupons to win a free Cricket World Cup inspired t-shirt. It's KFC Cricket Time. So good.
Wash your hands. I am Adora Toussaint, health educator from the Ministry of Health. Proper hand washing protects against the spread of many common illnesses and germs. Wash your hands often with soap and water, or you may use a hand sanitizer. Remember, clean hands save lives. Protect yourself.
A message from the Health Promotion of the Ministry of...
It's March Madness at Courts! Get all for nothing and nothing to pay for 30 days! Plus, get mad deals all over the store! And it gets even better with one crazy deal every single day! So Courts is the place to be all month long for new deals every day in the biggest March Madness promotion! Don't miss it. It's gonna be mad.
Thanks for staying with us. Some preschools have had to review their teaching methods to complement the Universal Early Childhood Education program. This teaching method, which early childhood educators have had to adopt, has to do with promoting more independent learners in the classroom. It's referred to as manipulative skill development, wherein children develop how to clutch and hold pencils, cut out shapes, and draw recognizable objects.
It's very often people think that children in the early years should be taught through drill and practice, a lot of activity books, which is very wrong. All the early childhood educators are aware of that. My greatest challenge is getting the parents to believe in what it is that we are telling them. Parents tend to think that because the book is on the shelf and and it's being promoted in a bookstore, that it is the best for their children. But children should in the early years should not have coloring books that have been prepared by adults. They really should be encouraged to do their own drawing, do their own coloring. What we do when we give them things that are already pre-prepared, and they just have to color and trace over, we are really stifling their initiative.
Ministry of Education has also introduced a high-scope method at some preschools as part of the Universal Early Childhood Education program.
But what they're trying to do is to try to get all schools to really go high scope, which is difficult in a way when it comes financially, as well as some of the criteria that has to be met. But I figure out that with the other groups that we have the thematic group that where the children learn, through themes, and then we have the high scope.
The Social Center has already been implementing some of the aspects of the program even before the Ministry of Education implemented the Universal Early Childhood Education.
It's more or less the same, but just different names. We are doing a high school program now. It's the same where the children learn on their own. They are being independent, to teach them to be independent as to all aspects of life. We prepare them for the future. The Social Center has always been doing the best practices. The early child educators, we have an island now. Most of them, that's where they were taking their training from. And some of them branch off on their own, coming to the model school, to the workshops, to do the trainings and so forth. So we have been implementing best practices thus far in early childhood.
Vagrants got some love and appreciation when members of the Rotaract Club of Roseau conducted a street feeding program on Saturday. The activity marked the local club's observance of World Rotaract Week. Rotaract Club celebrate the founding of the first club during World Rotaract Week, which occurs the week of March 13. The club members served 30 breakfast packages to homeless people in the streets of Roseau.
The cost for the preparation came from the club's funds. Those funds come from projects that we do to raise funds for the community service projects. And the members assisted in donating the breakfast to the less fortunate on the streets of Roseau. Also, we gave out some items of clothing, clean clothing, to the vagrants so that they would be able to have a change. Well, the club has engaged in street feedings in the past, and that is something that we continue to put on from time to time. It's not something that we do every Saturday because, you know, we have other areas of the community that we would need to put our efforts into. But it is something that we have been doing and we will continue to do.
And finally, Pastors here took the first step on the weekend towards greater unity among themselves with the first ever Pastors Conference held under the theme, Restoring the Glory of God.
The conference began Saturday and wrapped up on Sunday.
This is the first of its kind, and what we're really doing here is to try to bring all the pastors of this country together, you know, because there is a great need nationally to strengthen the body of Christ and also to reach out to our communities. And that's what we're doing here, as I said, is the first of its kind, and I'm very blessed to be part of it.
The conference was in part to honor Pastor Johnson of the Canefield Gospel Mission Church, who retires this year after 50 years in the ministry. Organizers say it has always been his desire to see greater unity among local pastors.
The conference ended on Sunday. Up next on the Channel 5 News, your sporting highlights.
As Dominica prepares to host round 10 of the Windward Islands 4-day tournament, a corporate citizen has agreed to sponsor a reward for the school with the highest representation on day one of the game. Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, through its product Quenchy, announced this week its willingness to donate $1,000 to the school with the most teacher-accompanied students in uniform at the stadium on Friday. The Dominica Cricket Association last week announced its plan to have as many young people filling the stands as possible by granting students free access. Meanwhile, Windward's under-19 captain Jelani Robinson has been drafted into the Windward Island Volcanoes team for this weekend's match. Both the Volcanoes and the Guyana Jaguars arrived on island during the course of the week, and Channel 5 Sports will continue to provide updates. A series of games set this week in the 2015 Dominica Football Association National Leagues as teams continue to race for the goal. PRO of the DFA, Gerald George, has more.
Matches are scheduled this week in the National Leagues of the Dominica Football Association. In the All-Island League on Tuesday, Digicel Newton Juvenile Academy will take on Fokole Classics in the first match of a doubleheader at the Baffert State playing field at 5 p.m. to be followed by Trafalgar Academy versus Campbell Ballers at 7 p.m. In another doubleheader at the Baffert State playing field on Wednesday, Pottersville Academy will come up against Haitian Angels at 5 p.m. while at 7 p.m. it will be Buster Warner versus Wayne George Academy. On Thursday, Ian Pinat Soufriere Spartans will battle Goodwill All-Stars at 5 p.m. in the first match of a doubleheader at the Baffert State playing field, to be followed by White River Ballers of Dailies versus Exodus Football Club. On Friday, Dr. Daru All-Stars will take on Digicel Newton Juvenile Academy at the Newton playing field at 6 p.m. while at the Baffert State playing field, it will be Trafalgar Academy versus Beostroms at 6 p.m. In a doubleheader on Saturday, Fokole Classics will do battle with Pottersville Academy at 5 p.m. at the Baffert State playing field, to be followed by Campbell Ballers versus Buster Warner at 7 p.m. And on Sunday, Haitian Angels will clash with Point Michel at the Pori playing field at 4 p.m. Meanwhile, the race to the championship in the Domlec Women's League intensifies on Sunday, with defending champions New India Goodwill Runners taking on Maro Soka Strikettes at 5 p.m. And the preliminary round in the Division 1 League will come to an end on Wednesday, with Nemesis United taking on MV Maxano Bombers at the Dubla playing field at 6 p.m.
Meanwhile, in games from the weekend, New India Goodwill Runners added 9 goals to their season tally, and Dive Dominica Harlem United forfeited points after failing to show up for their match against New Generation Sports Club on Sunday. The New Generation currently leads the pack with 33 points, and the Runners are in second place with 31 points. Both teams have one game remaining. Dive Dominica have 31 points with no games remaining. Maho Soccer Strikers are looking to make a breakthrough at number 4 with 28 points and 2 games left. And the new NBD Primary Schools football champion will be crowned Wednesday at Lindo Park when 4 schools go head-to-head in the semi-final and then final of the 2015 league. Woodford Hill Primary, St. Luke's Primary, St. John's, St. Mary's Primary all advanced to the final stage of competition after last Friday's quarter-final matches. The losers of the 2 semi-finals on Wednesday will play each other for a run-up position, followed by a grand final. Round 1 of the girls' segment commences Thursday and Friday this week. Just spending a few days in Dominica has inspired a daughter of the soil to give back as much as she can to local sports. Channel 5 Sports caught up with Karina LeBlanc at one of her mentorship sessions on Tuesday, where she briefed us on her Dreams for Life Fund, an initiative she is setting up in collaboration with UNICEF Canada as their new ambassador.
I mean, coming back home and just getting to just see myself in these kids just made me realize that I want to continue giving back to Dominica. You know, for me, some of this was to bring more awareness to how beautiful this country was. And in doing some football clinics and talking to the kids, it's very dear to me. So the fund is, I'm starting it online. It's unicef.ca/dreams. And whatever I raise, there's a private donor who will match it. Okay. So right now, it's to raise as much money as I can, and then once that happens, we'll decide where it goes. I mean, there's so many different and special projects that I've seen in being back here that, I mean, at first I thought it was just going to be one thing, but now I see just so many different places I can help, from the schools to obviously football to kids in certain areas to, I mean, for me, again, it's just about making kids believe that they can be the best version of themselves. Everyone has a different situation and circumstance. You know, you go to certain parts of the island and their circumstances and their struggles are different than, you know, maybe in Roseville. But every child has a situation. It's, for me, I've seen different ones, and every child is beautiful, no matter what they have. And, you know, whether it's to make sure it's the planning that's right, or to give them the confidence and the ability to say no when they need to say no, or go to the right person when they need to go to the right person, or get the right medical attention. It's across the board. I mean, every country has different issues and every child has different issues, but again, it's about trying to tackle the tougher issues as well as bringing attention and resources where I can help.
Interested donors can visit Karina's Dreams for Life website all over the world. That's all the sporting highlights for now. Join us tomorrow.
The weather report is next.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. We begin by taking a look at some earlier infrared satellite imagery which showed some low-level clouds lingering across the Leeward Islands, with Dominica reporting partly cloudy skies today. Radar imagery indicated some scattered showers, mainly across the central portion of the Lesser Antilles today. Tonight's weather is expected to be partly cloudy with a few scattered showers, with temperatures down to 24 degrees Celsius on the coast, with light winds out of the east near 30 kilometers per hour. Similar conditions are expected tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies with a few scattered showers, with temperatures up to 30 degrees Celsius on the coastline. Sea conditions are expected to be moderate in open water, with waves peaking near 7 feet. For the next 3 days, occasional cloudy skies and scattered showers are likely across Dominica, with light winds out of the east near 30 kilometers per hour. For the remainder of the Caribbean, weak unstable conditions will produce some cloudiness across the extreme northern and southern portion of the island chain, with partly cloudy skies and a few scattered showers expected across the central portion of the Lesser Antilles. For the international cities forecast, partly cloudy skies expected in New York, London, Caracas and Beijing, with clear skies expected in Miami. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:11 a.m. and sunset at 6:16 p.m. For additional information, feel free to visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thanks for viewing and have a good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Skerrit advocates people-centered development and self-determination for OECS countries. Dominica receives World Bank assistance to update its climate resilience program, and MP for Roseau North calls for greater accountability at solid waste. Feel free to send your questions and comments to news@marpin2k4.com. And for instant access to the news, you can download the TurnUp 767 app. On behalf of the production team, I am Idona Jean-Baptiste. Thanks for watching. Join us again tomorrow.